R2, come back at once. You haven't finished with me yet. You don't know how to fix the hyperdrive. Chewbacca can do it. I'm standing here in pieces, and you're having delusions of grandeur.
Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars, Delusions of Granular, with your hosts, Ron and JP.
So, Ron, have you ever seen the cartoon Star Wars Droids?
As a kid? No. As an adult? Yeah, I've actually watched it.
How'd that go for you?
It's not good.
Yeah?
I don't know who their audience is, but...
Well, it was the 80s. Remember that?
Was it the 80s? Did it come out in the 80s?
I feel like it had to have.
It had to have.
It might have been that early part of the 80s.
It's got like
is it a peer of Transformers? Or...
It might be. It's got like a lot of cartoon cliches in it. Like
Sure.
you have R2-D2 and C-3PO, and I don't think it's Anthony Daniels doing the voice.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it's R2-D2, you know. Like I think even in the credits they're like, R2-D2 played by himself.
I remember the toys looked the characters looked weird.
Yeah,
the toys
all the other characters are so not Star Wars. Like they are just like it's like they're plucked out of other cartoons.
I do like the Star Wars Droids logo, though. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Droids is it's all on YouTube. I think we could actually watch an episode on YouTube. I know I pulled up a couple earlier today just to get a reference, but yeah, they're not.
The Adventures of R2-D2 and C-3PO, right?
Yep, that's what it is. And apparently this is the first one that's going to be rewritten. Like canon is going to override this one right away because this takes place between the 20 years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So Rebels is going to bulldoze right over this.
Wouldn't it be amazing, though, if... Filoni will put some nods to it, though. He always does.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know?
Right.
He did in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. So last week we were talking about the rumors, and one of the rumors we've had further clarification on is who that masked hooded cyber being is going to be in Episode 7.
Yeah, my CSI enhancing of the photo didn't reveal any full tidbits.
No, but the internet did. I think it was it Indie Revolver again breaks the news that this is going to be...
it might have been Badass Digest.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
It was one of
but someone. And they're saying that it's Palpatine.
It's Palpatine,
which,
yeah.
I mean, I think that was everyone's kind of guess a little bit.
Right.
It was going to make sense.
Robot Palpatine.
Yeah, I'm not ready to buy into the Inquisitor thing. I'm fine with Robot Palpatine. Robot Palpatine makes sense. You got to fulfill that Palpatine's lineage as a Sith Lord by becoming part cybernetic.
Right.
Which is a weird thing, right? It seems like a lot of people in the universe start becoming more cybernetic as they lose pieces of themselves.
Yeah, that is like... So droids in Star Wars. That's what we're going to be talking about today. There's obviously the famous two, the big two, R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Yep. King of the droids.
The king of the droids. You know what? They're more than just the king of the droids on Star Wars. Like, you pull up internet, like, lists, which is the internet more than just lists nowadays. And, they always appear in the top 10, if not the top 2 list of, the best droids ever in, science fiction.
Yeah.
Which is huge. Like, science fiction droids have been, or robots, or metal men.
Yeah.
They've been, actually talked about going back to, ancient times.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, at least Jules Verne, right?
Yeah.
I think.
But even beyond that, even cave drawings.
Like Chariots of the Sky, that kind of stuff?
I was, doing, some real deep research on Wikipedia, of course. And,
we can go pretty deep on Wikipedia.
They were talking about, there's, hieroglyphics or cave drawings that actually, show metal men.
Uh-huh.
And it goes far back, but then, of course,
Star Wars does take place a long, long time ago. Oh.
And the hieroglyphics, the droids do show up in the hieroglyphics in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So, we're not too far off. But, no, but the history of robots in cinema, at least, that goes way further back.
Oh, sure. You know. Metropolis is a big inspiration.
Yeah. Metropolis was a huge inspiration for C-3PO.
Yeah, like straight up.
Yeah. So...
But droids have a weird place in the universe in Star Wars.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they have these... Interesting thing is, they have personalities. You know, R2-D2 is nothing but beeps and boops, but we all know when he's being sassy and when he's being funny. And
yeah, like, when we're almost, like, immediately when we're introduced to him in A New Hope, like, you know, C-3PO, like, hurts his feelings. Like, I don't think she likes you. I don't like you either. And he's, like, all sad about it.
That's, like, the best droid dialogue in the whole saga.
Yeah, like, so that is something different. That is something that George Lucas, I don't know if he knowingly brought that in.
And it's weird. He's, like, putting these restraining bolts on them. It's, like...
Yeah.
It's a kind of an odd scene, really.
And they're just junk... Like, the Jawas are just junk collectors anyway. Like,
yeah.
Like, what are... These...
Yeah, there's like this auction block for these droid...
Like, how do... Okay, so here's the big question.
Mm-hmm.
How are droids perceived in the Star Wars universe?
Right. I've heard them compared to what do they call them in the Clone Wars? Toasters?
Is it not
that?
Clankers.
Clankers. Okay.
Toasters is Battlestar.
Yeah, BSG, yeah. I always love... fictional racial slurs, like
sure, right.
Muty and the X-Men. But okay, yeah. Lost my friend.
But you're going back to Clone Wars,
right? Clone Wars, yeah. So they call them clankers in Clone Wars. I've heard people compare them to like R2-D2 is kind of like a big iPod. He interfaces with your car,
right?
And all that stuff. But it's weird though because I never affectionately talk to my iPod.
Right.
Even with Siri.
Well, okay, so I think that there's... Like, I think... Overall, I would say that most of the Star Wars characters that we know don't really... They look down upon the droids. They aren't...
Oh, certainly.
You know, they're
They have no opinions.
They're appliances.
And they have to do what they're told.
Famously, we know Han Solo doesn't really think much of droids at all.
Yeah.
You know, when he first... even in A New Hope, when C-3PO introduces himself to Han Solo is like, blows him off, looks the other way, and it's like, why are you talking to me?
Lando does the exact same thing.
Lando does the same thing, right. I mean, 3PO is annoying, but still. But, like, you never really even see, like, Leia being, like, she doesn't really treat him well.
You know who does? Padme.
Padme does?
Yeah, Padme, remember, brings that little droid up for a little ceremony.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, who does is Luke. Luke and Anakin are the ones that treat the droids with any kind of humanity.
Lonely boys, yeah.
Yeah, right? But, okay, so, you're right. That was, to me, one of the weirder scenes in all of the saga.
Yeah.
Is when they honor R2-D2.
Yeah.
For doing his job.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
I think you could maybe chalk it up to, like, literally, she's a young queen, her world's getting overthrown. I mean, I don't know how long she's been queen at this time, but I think it's like a year or less. Maybe a couple years. And now she's literally, her world's being overthrown and ruined and everything. I think she might be getting stressed out. She's just trying to do the best queenly thing she can do.
Right.
You know?
Okay, so a little side editorial here by the old guy on the podcast. They were awarding him for doing his job. Right? I mean, his job was to go out there and fix the ship.
Mm-hmm. Right?
He was doing his job. And my take on this, as I was like rewatching it, is like, wow, that is such a millennial thing. Like, you get praise for just showing up.
Oh, everyone participated. Everyone gets a medal. Sure, okay, I'll cop to that from our generation. Sure, but I think, like, I mean, this is going to get a little off topic, but I think you could also read it as she is, much like Princess Leia in the OT, about to lose her world and really her entire standing politically.
Right.
And I think politicians have that thing about them with it, ceremony and that kind of stuff really shows it's a display of power.
Right.
Even though it's ridiculous and silly to give a reward to this droid.
And everybody else in that room on the ship is like, why are we here?
Why are we here?
We're
trying to escape. We're trying to get some...
we got better things to be talking
Those
about.
Jedi were attacked. But... I think you could make a case for it. It's a stretch. It's a no prize, Marvel no prize type thing.
Right.
But yeah,
So then they take him over to the back room, and Padme is cleaning him up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a little dialogue between Padme and Anakin.
Oh, that's right, because it's
Jar Jar.
fake Padme who awards
It's
him.
fake Padme. Yeah.
Maybe that was it. Maybe it's just because it was fake Padme. She's
just
just
exerting
dumb.
her power.
Yeah, she's just like, whoo, I get to be queen for a day. Give that droid a medal. Give everyone a medal.
But Jar Jar doesn't really acknowledge the droid at the moment. Like, he's back there getting cleaned, and Jar Jar seems friendly to everybody. He doesn't really acknowledge the droids though.
That's true. Well, one, does he know what a droid is?
Well,
yeah. Backwards hillbilly lives underwater.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Anyhow, but the point is, 30 years before, Princess Leia and Han Solo and everybody are, more or less just dismissing these droid beings. 30 years before, a queen of Naboo, a relatively powerful planet in the grand scheme of things, considering the Emperor came from there and the twin scions of the Force,
right.
Was awarding a medal to a droid. I mean, there's got to be some historic precedence there for the rights of droids.
Well, all right, so let's take this a step further.
Mm-hmm.
All right, R2 in his younger days gets an award for doing his job.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Flash forward 30 years later. Gets blown up during
swallowed
the
by
battle.
Yeah.
Gets blown up during the Battle of Yavin.
Yes. Right.
Luke saves the day, gets an award. Han saves the day, gets the award. R2-D2 doesn't get an award.
Even Chewbacca. When you're giving rewards to Chewbacca, the droids...
He didn't get an award.
He didn't?
They didn't put an award on him.
She didn't put a medal on his, though?
No, they didn't. That's a big controversy.
So droids and Wookiees might be in the same...
They're the same class of...
That makes sense. That makes sense why the droids are so mechanically inclined, maybe.
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 Yeah. So R2-D2 so he saves the day. He doesn't save the day, but he's basically,
I mean, he's big. He's integral part. I mean, he saves him from the trash compactor. Christ.
No, I'm talking about just the Battle of Yavin.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
He doesn't save the day there, but he gets his ass blown up.
Yep.
And doesn't get any recognition for that.
Right.
He saves the day. He does save him from the trash compactor.
Mm-hmm. Cloud City.
He saves him in Cloud City, blows smoke.
Yep, gets swallowed by that swamp monster, spit out.
Well, he reactivates the hyperdrive that nobody else seems to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
He just flips the switch, and it's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it, right?
Well,
then...
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What else does he do? Does he save the day in Jedi?
What's he do in Jedi? He tosses the light. He's the waiter who tosses the lightsaber.
Right,
he's the integral part of Luke's mastermind plan.
Right. And yet he gets, he's probably sitting there. He's like, what? Where's my award?
Yeah.
I just got this one.
Well, I mean, even after the Phantom Menace and the prequel trilogy, what's he do? I mean, he's flying around on a rocket. He's got his rocket boosters going at one point, and
he saves Padme from molten steel.
Okay, so that was one of those things that's like, hey, you know what? You gave me a medal, so peace. Maybe that's the whole thing for... It's funny, because he doesn't get his mind wiped, right?
I don't think he ever
gets his mind what's cool about him, is that he knows everything.
He knows everything.
So, for him, it was like, he's going to save the trash compactor, because it's like, it's Padme's kids. And their friends are assholes, and they treat us droids like dicks, but whatever. I'm going to save them, because that's Padme's kids, and she gave me a medal when I was a kid.
But I'm trying to think where else he's treated poorly. Yoda beats him.
Oh, yeah. Yoda gives him some shit. And that's weird, too, because Yoda should know him. Because he's Anakin's droid, also.
Right.
Well, that's the weirdest thing to me.
What is R2 thinking this entire time? He's like, I get it.
No
respect.
On Star Wars Minute, they kind of talked about this a little bit, and they talked about the idea that maybe R2 was in on it with Yoda, like, and they're putting together a ruse to make Luke think this.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I buy that. Sure.
Sure.
They get a no prize.
Sure, I guess. I mean, we kind of have to buy that at this point. Like,
Yeah, that's the
droid
thing.
can't talk, so you just have to kind of make up your own thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? But, okay, so...
Or maybe he's just following the Prime Directive. The Isaac Asimov Prime Directive of, like, can't hurt a humanoid or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So maybe that's it. Maybe he's like, why is this all...
Okay, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Like, so... I'm sorry, pronounce his name?
I'm guessing Asimov.
Asimov?
I think I've heard it said that.
Right. He basically established the rule that most science fiction follows is droids, robots can't harm you. Like, to this day, like I saw...
Well, the workaround for that is they're built to not harm you, but then the workaround is always that they realize that, like, the best way to protect humanity is to enslave it or destroy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But in Star Wars, there's droids that'll kill you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's
sure.
droids that are just battle droids for one.
Mm-hmm.
They're just made to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
The what's this? The droid
IG-88?
IG-88.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the ball droids and
That other battle droids.
yeah, the
There's like
battle droids.
There are 3 classes of battle droid in my world. There's the Roger Rogers, and
Yes.
there's the ball guys.
The ball guys.
Who seem to be like somewhat more useful because they have a force
shield.
field.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that makes sense too. It's like they just kind of blast you with machine gun lasers and
Right.
through their shield. But and then there's the other ones that show up in Revenge of the Sith, right? That's when they first show up.
those
Dooku's.
ones that have like the blasters in their hand.
They have the staff blaster thing, which I think.
Oh no! There's ones that show up in the arena
Oh.
in Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
That are kind of they're.
That's
wider
right. The ones that have it
body.
in their hand.
Right.
So it's
They
4 classes.
there's 4 classes.
And I
then
think
you have Dooku's henchmen.
Henchman droid. Whether they, for some reason, they have cloaks.
Yeah, I think they have cloaks.
They have like a little cloak.
Well, they have
thing?
cloaks because of. Like, I always thought they were part of Grievous.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Well, like Grievous gets intermixed with the Separatists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
I don't know where Grievous comes from.
Well, I mean, he's kind of got his own bag going on. Is Grievous tied in with the Techno Union?
Is that what it's really called? Techno Union?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think
it is
so.
Techno Union.
Yeah. The Techno Union fascinated me when I watched the prequels.
That is, okay, yeah, I know we're all over the place here, but, like, yeah, the Techno Union, okay, so, again, I'm trying to answer the question.
Oh, sorry.
Are these,
Yeah.
Are droids considered, like, are they lower class citizens? Are they just appliances to people? Are they, like, faithful companions? Like, so you have R2-D2 who seems to be, a faithful companion, Luke loves him,
Yeah.
3PO, I don't think Luke really gives a damn about.
Right.
He's,
Right.
I mean,
Well, he's kind of
takes care of
endearing.
him,
Yeah.
Han Solo doesn't care about him.
I'm-
But,
I'm oddly less interested in Luke's take on droids than I am Anakin's, because I'm honestly fascinated by Anakin's whole.
well, Anakin's got
Very weird.
he's got a weird relationship with droids.
The more you look into it, the weirder it gets.
Right.
I mean, this is a man who, as a boy, builds C-3PO.
Right.
And this is canon now. This really happened. He built C-3PO to help his slave mom with the chores. And they're, relatively nice house for being a slave.
Sure.
And that's, that's very cool, very commendable. But it's weird. He's more comfortable with machines and fixing pod racers and doing this than he is interacting with humans. And it makes sense. He's had no father. He's a slave. It's like, so these are beings that he can kind of control, which I feel, because he's got his whole world's out of control.
Sure.
Which that makes sense.
Sure.
And then as he goes forward, he loses a hand and he starts becoming part robotic.
Right.
He enters a relationship with Padme. Padme and him actually create life.
Right.
And this, in his mind, is something that kills Padme ultimately. And then he becomes a machine himself. I mean, very much part machine. To the point where you can no longer see any humanity in him. Until Return of the Jedi, of course.
So, So he makes 3PO out of spare parts, but 3PO is also like he's a protocol droid. There's other protocol droids, so it's like he's building an actual like.
You gotta assume it's kind of like imagine today with the internet. I'm building a website. I can go on GitHub and download some JavaScript to do this one action.
Right.
So it's like I went and got
downloading like a template.
Yeah, I got a protocol template.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. But what still is like itching in my mind is you have some droids that are strictly appliances or thought of as appliances.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Like
Gonk droid.
Yeah. The mouse droid on the Death Star.
God, I love those mouse droids.
Right?
That's such a good little addition.
They're strictly just there to do one particular task or whatever.
I always assumed I haven't done any research on this, but I always assumed that the mice droids on the Death Star were like all they were doing was like picking up particles and debris and like cleaning.
Oh, really?
Kind of like a Roomba.
They're like Roombas?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
really?
little fast-paced Roombas. Is that not true?
I thought they were there to kind of
relay messages.
No, they were like the drill sergeants in the army. They're the ones that are keeping the troops.
Oh,
I
guess there was always kind of like troops around when they.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were.
They're like they're reporting on like unit number 27 is not marching right. Kill him.
Right. But
that's kind of cool.
So you have like the appliance droids.
Yes.
Right. Then you have like.
And also computers, software. Don't forget, Cloud City has a whole computer.
Well, you have Lobot too.
Right, and Lobot's whole job is just to interact with the computer system.
Right.
And R2-D2 talks to the computer system. Like, the Millennium Falcon seems to have kind of a personality of its own.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's these, like, non-corporeal...
Well, I guess what we're saying is there's different classes of droids. Because you have the worker droids that... Well, you have... Let's break it down. You have, like, strictly the appliance droids.
Yes.
Right? The gonk...
The moisture evaporator.
Yeah, the Treadwell droid that looks like Wally with a long neck. You have the mouse droid. Then you have like R2-D2 and C-3PO who perform specific tasks but also have personalities.
Yeah, like it's weird because C-3PO is for all intents and purposes a protocol droid and it's where he's most comfortable. But really, you can use him for a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. He's had I mean, if we go throughout the EU and the cartoon and the movies, like he's performed a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
I mean, he's flown the Millennium Falcon, for God's sakes, in Shadows of the Empire.
And in Phantom Menace, is it Phantom Menace or is it Attack of the Clones where he switches heads with a battle droid?
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. So he's shot men.
So then you have like the battle droids who are strictly like programmed to do one task, although they have personalities.
Let's have a quick break on that. How do you feel about the battle droids? I'll be honest. I'll tell you this much.
Yeah.
I love them. I love the battle droids. They're stupid and they're great.
I never really was that bothered by them in Phantom Menace when they they weren't even in the Phantom. Oh yeah, they were in the Phantom.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't bothered with them in the prequels until listening to all the fanboys complain about them. Then it's like, oh yeah, they suck.
The only thing that bothered me about them, but it bothered me at the time and no longer does, was that I had a dream that all those battle droids would just be a fleet of IG-88s. And then so that would make sense then when you had the IG-88 in the Empire and you hear Imperial officers being like, we don't need their kind of scum.
Right,
whatever.
Right.
And because they hate and are terrified of these guys because they killed a bunch of people.
That would make sense.
I thought that would be really cool.
Right.
But you know what the thing is? You know who comes up with that kind of idea? Fans.
Yeah, no,
that's
right.
fan
right.
shit.
Well,
and
see,
that's the cool thing about Phantom
the battle
Menace.
droids is, I know they rub people the wrong way with the whole Roger Roger thing. And it gets kind of to the point where it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like Roger Roger.
Yeah.
And they definitely play up on that in the Clone Wars, the series.
Yeah.
But it starts. It's like it's. At first, I'm just going to speak for myself.
Sure.
At first, it's kind of like you get a chuckle. I get a chuckle out of it.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Then it, after a while, it becomes annoying.
Right.
Right?
It's like a Family Guy joke.
And then it keeps going on, and then it's like, well, no, this is funny and endearing.
We made it back to hilarious and endearing,
yeah, right?
And endearing is, like, I
think most of the fans don't get past that second phase.
Agreed. The Roger Thing, though, to me, it falls in this... There's something really endearing to me about any time I spot something that is, like, kind of commercially unacceptable that George Lucas put into the prequels because he could, and because it reminded him of his childhood. And things like Roger, things like Jango Fett having those twin pistols.
Yeah, right.
Like, all that kind of stuff to me is like...
Right.
It's like, that's so endearing. Because it's like, this is him, like... It's like, you know, what would I like? A kid of... I mean, when was he... When was he, like, a teenager? Or
60s.
So, like, a kid of, like, the 50s and 60s, like... Yeah. You know, like...
I think he was born in 44, so
he's like,
50s and 60s.
Sure, so, like, what would I think was cool when I was 8 to 12?
Yeah.
And it's like twin pistols, Roger. It's like, I think it's so endearing and fun.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. But it's still ridiculous that, like...
Totally.
The Trade Federation uses this army of basically incompetent droids.
Right.
They program them to be better.
Right.
You know, like, they're idiots. Like, they're... Not only are they idiots, they're kind of, like, in Clone Wars, they're kind of... like wisecracking idiots. Like,
why'd you make them so sarcastic?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, that's kind of... Here's the thing. As I think that... I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head here. As we've been talking, I've kind of developed this idea. That, like, we're thinking of it all like it's like... These are microchips and stuff that work in the same way as ours and such. But, like... What if it's different?
It has to be
like,
different.
Yeah. Like, what if it's something where it's like... Well, if we use this red gemstone, they're going to be kind of sarcastic. But if we use this yellow gemstone, they'll be all science and no talking. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like there's fantasy elements to Star Wars, and like there has to be something about these droids that's more faith than science.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say that, well, on that point, then you've essentially given them sentience, and then we're talking about slavery again.
Sure.
So that's the trouble when you cut in this personality thing. It's like, either we have some really wacky programmers that no one can get under control, or it's slavery. I mean, like, you know.
So I want to get back to this whole techno union thing.
Oh yeah.
These are robots, droids that have managed to overcome.
No, they're not droids. They're cyborgs.
Oh, they're cyborgs?
They're cyborgs, yeah.
So those actually...
I had to do a little research on this just today.
School me on this, because
All right.
Other than the fact that they have to turn a dial to, like, clear their throat.
And they had that awesome goofy respirator and all this stuff. So here's the thing. The Techno Union, these are those dudes with the big respirator and the goggles. You see them in the bad guy scenes.
Yeah, they're like big, thick guys.
Yeah.
They're
usually
around with Dooku and Poggle the Lesser, the head of the...
Good call. God, that was a hell of a pull, Poggle the Lesser.
The head of the Geonosis. I just love that character.
Son of a bitch, that was good.
Poggle the Lesser.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, reeling from that one. So, the main dude we always see with the goggles and the faceplate, he is I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this because I've never heard it said. Mm-hmm. He is a Skakonian.
Really?
Skakoan.
Nice.
There's off on the Wikipedia. What he's wearing is a pressure suit.
Okay.
And so it's constantly exerting pressure on his body because he's from a world where it's got a very high gravity thing.
Okay.
So to go into other worlds, he has to wear his pressure suit. Otherwise, I guess he'll fall apart. I don't know.
All right.
So he's got to wear this pressure suit. So during the Clone Wars, the Techno Union, a cyborg union who oversaw the battle droid manufacturing, was a political presence. During the Empire, that was dissolved. Because, and I'm quoting directly from Wikipedia, in 19 BBC, the Techno Union was dissolved when Emir Wat Tambor, who I believe is the guy I'm talking about with the goggles and the faceplate,
okay. All right.
Was slain with the rest of the Separatist Council at the hands of Darth Vader. So I think we saw this on screen, right?
Did we see?
I know we saw Lauders, the guys from the Trade
Darth
Federation.
Vader.
Yeah.
But he's not in the armor yet.
Yeah,
Anakin just takes the name Darth Vader.
Yes. So it's Anakin's first real heel turn.
Do we see? Was it Wat Tambor get slain?
I don't remember seeing Wat Tambor get slain, but I remember seeing Newt Gunray.
Okay.
Newt
yeah.
Gunray dies on screen.
All right. What about Poggle the Lesser?
I don't know about Poggle the Lesser. But so the company was then imperialized by the newly formed Galactic Empire. So basically my assumption was correct. It was dissolved. But so...
Wait. I can tell you the fate of Poggle the Lesser. Poggle the Lesser is like my second Watto. Like, I love Watto.
He's a competent Watto.
I love me some Poggle the Lesser.
The company man Watto.
Poggle the Lesser was imprisoned in the Clone Wars. Captured and imprisoned.
Okay.
Yes. So that would happen prior to
it would
Revenge of the Sith.
It would make sense to imprison him because he runs a insect-like group of people
who
who manufacture
things. It was
things.
that whole storyline where the worms are going up the noses and Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And, Anakin and
is this
Obi-Wan.
true or are you making this up?
No, this is in the show.
Oh, Poggle the Lesser shows up in the show?
Oh, yeah, he totally shows up during
I thought you were just making it up, and I was like, this is great, Ron. Keep going.
No, he totally... It's the whole storyline where...
Yeah, the awesome horror...
Yeah, the worms are going up the nose.
Yeah.
And Anakin... Like, the one Jedi, I don't remember her name, she's captured, and Anakin and...
It's got the best Anakin moment of the whole series.
Anakin and Obi-Wan are, like, there to rescue her.
Yeah.
And like, Obi-Wan's like... Anakin's like, we should rescue her, and Obi-Wan's like, no, I kind of want to see what happens if the worm goes up her nose.
And Obi-Wan's like, no, wait, we gotta save Poggle the Lesser.
Well, Poggle the Lesser ends up in prison.
Oh, okay. But Poggle, so anyhow.
Anyway, yeah.
Sorry, I got this. I was going to go off on a whole thing. I was like, what thing about Poggle the Lesser is...
I totally sidetracked.
So, my thing about the Techno Union is that they're very powerful politically at this time in the Clone Wars. They're essentially manufacturing the... Separatist?
I don't know what they're manufacturing.
Well, they're manufacturing the battle droids and such.
I thought the Geonosians were making the battle droids.
I thought that they ran the Geonosians.
I don't know where the Techno Union comes in, because you see the Geonosians making the battle droids in the battle droid factory.
What's is Geonosa? Geonosa? Is that the name of the planet?
Sure.
Okay. The Geonosian planet, I believe, and I can actually look this up on Wikipedia if I need to, is the last planet to join the Techno Union.
Okay.
So they're part.
So
of
they are part of the
Techno Union.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm 95% sure on this.
Okay.
So
I'll go with it.
So my thing is, this is essentially making the Separatist army. And as we know, the Separatists and everything is essentially folded into the Empire.
Yes.
Right? Because it was always one guy running both sides anyhow.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, it's not folded in, just basically
dissolved.
Wiped out. Yeah, dissolved.
I guess it might have just been dissolved then.
Might have been dissolved.
So, my thing then is, without representation, because these are cyborgs, for all intents and purposes, if you can't live without mechanical assistance, you're a cyborg, right?
If you can't live without... Yes, that is correct. So
then a Skakoan, or whatever they are...
Someone who likes ska.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull ska, Vandroid. So a Skakoan then is a cyborg, and they go from being one of the main political players in the SW universe, and they go to nothing. So there's no longer representation for cyborgs. So, without representation, what separates a cyborg from a droid? Because droids, as we know, have no rights. Is there a 1% rule, similar to slavery, with cyborgs? Like, is there a point where, like, if you're 45% droid, you're still human, but if you're 55%, you're a droid?
It's possible. Right?
I mean, look at Lobot.
Lobot is the key here. He's the Rosetta Stone of all this. How much of a droid is he?
Because he looks all human.
Right, but he doesn't really act human.
And he doesn't seem like a Terminator, though. I don't feel like there's an exoskeleton. And there is an EU storyline about how he was a misanthropic youth who got in a lot of trouble and opted to have his brain carved out to be part of the city. Yeah, that's silly.
Bullshit.
And it's a fine story, but it's whatever. It's not canon, so I don't care.
Right.
I don't give a shit.
Right. Right.
But my thought is maybe it's a brain thing. It's like, well, it doesn't matter how much your body is. Like, I mean, look at what's his name? The you just said it earlier. The Revenge of the Sith villain.
Oh, Grievous.
Grievous. General Grievous. Grievous.
He's another Rosetta Stone because he has like
He's all droid except for some organs and brain.
Yeah.
And eyes, I guess. And so my thought is that maybe it's like, well, it doesn't matter how you have all your rights. Doesn't matter how much cyborg you are, until you touch the brain. Once the brain's cyborg, it's like you lose all your rights. Because I mean, to me, Lobot seems like
Lobot doesn't have his brain.
I mean, that was my assumption from his name,
Yeah,
Bot. I mean, like, and he's got his.
Is his okay? Wait a minute. We all know that Kenner took some licenses with naming their action figures.
Sure.
He had Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, because they were just naming them by what they
Now,
look like.
and this is where it gets funny.
Is Lobot ever mentioned by name in the movies?
No.
So we don't know if Lobot's name is actually Lobot, or if they're just like, hey, this guy looks like he had a lobotomy. Lobot.
Here's my thing. When it comes to that, I consider most of the licensing relatively canon. When it comes to toys and stuff,
I would say that.
I think the toys hold more weight than the books.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking out of my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows Lobot is Lobot.
Because as we've talked about multiple episodes at this point, everyone knows that Ewoks are Ewoks, but that's never mentioned in the movies. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think that I was re-listening to one of our episodes. Which one was it? The referred back to episode 6, the WTF the Force.
Yeah, WTF is the Force.
Yeah. That episode we start talking about, we mentioned the whole Ewok thing and stuff, and I was like, how badass would it be is if the next movie they're like, and here are our, I don't know, Skakoan lamps, as I look at a lamp, and they're Ewoks, and it's like, oh, you thought you knew what Ewoks were? Guess what? This is what they're actually called.
Right.
Just because you bought all those Ewok toys? That wasn't real. It's only the movies, the TV show.
That would be pretty funny.
Yeah. That Darth Maul comic.
JJ makes a press conference and it's like, I swear there are no Ewoks in episode 7.
Because Ewoks aren't real
because
in canon.
Ewoks are not real. But these little teddy bear characters who are not Ewoks.
Yeah.
Because that's not canon.
And here are the Teds. So yeah, and also because if you look at it, talking about this whole rule of like how much droid you have to be before you're considered a droid. Yeah. So I think Lobot's considered a droid more or less the way he's treated, right?
I guess
he's not treated any better than C-3PO, right? Is he?
Well,
he does have a resting area.
Here's another thing.
He does have a resting area. We see that.
But here's the thing.
Yeah. You probably don't get your own room if you're a droid.
But Lobot started as a human.
Maybe.
Well, he has skin.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's clones. I mean, like, I feel like that's a hurdle they could overcome.
Clones are human?
Sure. But I feel like that's a hurdle they could overcome scientifically. It seems like they have the ability to merge man and machine fairly flawlessly. I mean...
This is true, and also canon.
Yeah, I mean, look at Luke's hand. Luke's beautiful hand.
Another Rosetta Stone in this whole droid cybernetic mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Luke could actually be like a Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, here's the thing. Lobot versus Darth Vader. One commands starships. The other one is essentially running the air conditioner.
He's like running. He's running the city.
Yeah. So it's hard to see how society sees these guys.
Well,
there were some droid episodes of the Clone Wars.
There were, yes, some infamous droid episodes in the Clone Wars. How did you feel about those episodes?
I generally enjoyed them. I felt like the one went a little long, but it was still endearing ultimately. The one with the little captain.
The little captain, yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was
a little long, but it was...
Well, I think that was a general problem with the Clone Wars is some of the story arcs went long, so I can't really...
Yeah.
Like, I can't really use that as a criticism for the droid episodes, because there's other story arcs that went long as well.
Yeah.
I would say that Dave Filoni and his infinite wisdom was dragging Droids, the cartoon series, into...
Yes.
The what is now canon Clone Wars,
which is cool,
by having, and
don't forget the Droid comic books miniseries, which was
which
I have a real fondness for. That first issue with C-3PO with an X on his head pointing a gun at the reader. Mm-hmm. I think that's just a great iconic image that harkens back to the Marvel comic series.
Remember that image,
it's great.
Sure. Yeah. But you had There was some episodes where it was just R2 and C-3PO
Gulliver's
going
Travel
off on their
episode.
crazy episodes, saving like countless planets.
Yeah.
Just bubbling
unbeknownst
through it. Yeah, unbeknownst to anyone.
Between events.
Yeah,
yes.
and then end up coming back to where they started and being like, "Where were you guys?"
Where were you guys? Yeah.
But yeah, they had like
they were
the whole,
cute. I thought those were fun
cute.
filler
It was fun.
episodes.
Yeah, it was fun. But I think that the episode with the little general guy, who
4 episodes, I think.
it was it was
a
the
long
story arc with the little general guy who always reminded me of the character on Ren and Stimpy.
Which one?
Muddy the Mud Skipper.
Okay, all right. I remember the look, but I can't remember the voice or anything.
There was no voice. It was just Stimpy was obsessed with Muddy the Mud Skipper.
Okay,
it was like it was like a show within a show, and Stimpy was obsessed with Muddy the Mud Skipper show.
All right.
So yeah. Anyway, I think there was, although the arc went on for a long time, and I think if anyone's going to point out problems with the Clone Wars, they'll point to that arc because you had this little general guy who was like...
It's a weird thing. That's a weird thing because as my famous Star Wars filter works, how any new element at all, I have to, like, it's the element of clothing or a size of a character, I have to put it through this rigorous test to see if I can accept it in my Star Wars universe I've concocted in my own brain. And a little general was very hard. A little guy who's a few inches tall.
What was his name?
Little general.
Little General.
Little General Jedi.
Napoleon.
But yeah, totally.
I don't even know how to look him up.
We'll find it.
Yeah,
later.
we'll have to find him later.
But he, oddly, it was one of those things. That was an expanding moment for me on Star Wars, where it's like you literally pushed up right against my barriers. And, like, rather than me rejecting it, my barriers actually bent a little bit. And I was like, I accept this. I could see this in Episode 7. I'm fine.
Well, here's the
with
thing. Is
I don't know why. I don't know how they did that.
Well, I know how they did that. And honestly, I think that's why we're doing a whole podcast just on Droids today, because of that story arc.
Okay?
Is because that story arc, you had this very diminutive general.
Yeah.
Who thought he was a badass.
Right.
But no one else saw him that way because he was literally like a foot tall.
Little tiny
right?
guy.
He was
Less
little
than a
tiny
foot,
guy.
right?
But he
like a beer bottle size.
He had like a Napoleon complex.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, agreed.
And even though he thought he was this great general, no one else in the Republic did. So they send him on a mission with a bunch of R2 units.
Right.
Right? And he hates it because he's like, I'm here with a bunch of droids. I'm here with a bunch of appliances.
Right. Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yes.
He is very resentful of...
Is he a Jedi, or is he just...
No, he's just a...
part of the Jedi militia?
I think he's just a general.
That's something I'd love to talk about someday, is like the real military aspect of all that.
Sure.
Anyhow, go on. Continue with your point. It makes total sense. Keep going.
Through the arc, he changes.
Right.
And he ends up respecting these droids. And, I mean, that's a big deal in this universe, because you've never actually seen someone...
He starts standing up for him by the end, yeah.
In the Star Wars universe, go from, these things are just appliances, to, no, these things are heroic.
Agreed. And, like, what's funny is what was cool about it was that the storyline, if you're savvy, was slightly expected. By the end, you kind of knew where it was going. But honestly, in the storyline, the first episode, I was like, okay, Little General, this is really outside my comfort zone for Star Wars.
It gets a little silly.
And then
starts off silly, but
by like the third episode, though, or if it was 3 episodes, it was the second episode. It was 4, it was the third.
We're so off. He's a colonel. He's Colonel Gascon.
Nice.
And not only like...
What's Gascon backwards?
Sag.
Okay. I always do that with these names. I always try to see there's a joke there.
Right.
But,
I mean, the other thing about that arc, which is also not like this goes off of our droid discussion, but the other thing about that arc is they come across a clone that didn't really know he was a clone.
Yeah.
Which was really like folks, again, we did a whole episode a while back.
Wait, did he not know he was a clone, or was he hiding out? Did he go AWOL?
He didn't know he was a clone.
Oh,
he did not know he was...
Oh, because he got bonked in the noggin and forgot.
He didn't know he was a clone.
Okay.
But, like...
That was good.
The clone... Yeah.
Because that's the clone parallel of the droids, yeah. I'm like, if you sorry, I knocked the table. If you say that a droid is not human, and if you go by the rule that if you created it, you can rule it, then, like, well, what happens when you create a human? A droid. Yeah. Or a clone.
A clone.
Clone droid.
Right. So, but I guess the point I want to make was, we talked about this a while ago, that the Clone Wars is great and everyone needs to be watching it if they haven't already, because moving forward this is canon. Watch it. But also really don't be deterred by the episodes that you think, or the story arcs that you think are silly or pointless, because there's great nuggets of characterization and plot and everything. Big characterization in that, and the fact, like,
and fleshing out, and characterization of the Star Wars universe. Not just characters. Like it shapes things up.
2 big things in that story, or 3 big things, I think.
Totally.
3 big things that. One was, okay, they come across a clone who didn't know he was a clone and ends up, like, sacrificing himself. Right.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Right.
Always.
The whole Colonel Gascon's story arc from not respecting the droids to actually standing up for them.
Which I was going through myself when I was watching it, as not respecting the story arc, and by the end, respecting it.
Right. And then this one always stood out for me was the location that they're at is like a complete void. In fact, the episode was called something Void.
Okay.
Sunny Day in the Void.
Oh, that's
right?
good.
And it was a planet like where, I mean, psychologically it moved me, because it's like, here's this character, a sentient being surrounded by droids, and like everywhere you look is absolute nothingness.
Yeah.
And he kind of is relying on the droids to keep him sane, even though they are not sentient beings.
Totally. And wasn't there another arc? There was. I don't know if it was an arc or if it was just one episode, where the droids are being used for target practice.
Oh yeah, there was the
Mandalores.
The Mandalores, yeah.
What are they called? The Deaths?
The Death Squad.
Death Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the episode where the Mandalores are using the droids as target practice.
Yeah.
And they bring on R2. R2 survives only because of the fact that he can fix the droids after they break them. Right? Am I remembering this plot right?
There was some type of, like, a Toy Story type of deal where there's, like, the messed up droids and I think R2 can fix them, or they ask R2 to fix them. It was kind of like the neighbor kid in Toy Story.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
All these messed up toys.
Was his last name Cast? The Mandalore who was running the show?
Jodo Cast.
I don't know if he was Jodo, but I don't think we ever heard the first name.
Up.
Okay. Jodo Cast is the EU thing.
Yeah, you're mixing me up.
But Cast is there's a Mandalore with the last name Cast in the Clone Wars.
Also, one of the Mandalores was voiced by Katie Sackhoff.
Oh, God, that's good.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so in the course of the episode, he's kind of thrown in this like ramshackled barn where they keep all the busted ass droids that they use for target practice.
Yep.
And it's very cruel. It's very cruel. Like you said, very Toy Story-esque in the mean kid thing.
Yeah.
And R2 kind of fixes them all and gains their loyalty. And kind of leads a rebellion with them.
Right.
Well, straight up does lead a rebellion with these droids.
Right.
And some die in it, and it's very emotional and everything. But to me, that was really the Clone Wars putting the flag down and saying, nope, they're people, and this is kind of sort of an indentured servitude slavery type thing. Like, in a weird way, it was kind of much like Toys, actually, where like in the film series Toys, they don't have
Toy Story.
Sorry, Toy Story. Robin Williams still in the brain. 3 episodes in. So in the Toy Story franchise, though they're not like longing to be real and have live man and wife off somewhere in some toy universe.
Right. They're not like Pinocchio.
They're longing. They don't want to be real. They just want to be played with because that's their purpose.
Yes.
And I feel like the droids in that episode and throughout the franchise, actually, in Star Wars, are kind of similar in that way. What they really want to do is serve their primary programming function.
Sure.
C-3PO really just wants to do protocol. He wants to set up dinner plates and interpret things.
He never gets to do it.
Yeah,
you never actually see him be a protocol.
Yeah, it's so harsh. And I think that's so it's a weird thing to think because it's easy to go to that slavery place, but these legitimately aren't human beings.
Right.
Which
is interesting.
They have a specific purpose.
R2 has a specific purpose too, yet his mind has never been wiped.
Right.
So I kind of feel like he
evolved.
Oh yeah, I kind of feel like he understands human behavior now, more so than any other droid, and he's able to, he understands that human behavior is more erratic.
Right.
And so he just kind of goes with the flow.
Like his algorithm has evolved based on kind of like if you use your Amazon and stuff, you start getting emails that are more tailored to what you've been searching for lately, that kind of stuff. The algorithm kind of evolves with the more you interact with it.
I did do a little bit of research, and I haven't gotten there in the EU, but apparently at a certain point in the far future, the legacy era.
Sure.
Apparently R2's been upgraded, so he's
got legs.
No, not physically upgraded.
Okay.
I guess he gets a operating system upgrade.
Oh, okay. So he goes on iOS 7. It's all flat design, very.
Yeah. He has Siri now.
Oh, nice! Finally, can tell me where the restaurant is and nothing else.
Right. And he's also owned by Cade Skywalker.
Oh, Cade.
Yeah.
Cade. No, Cade is. I was under the impression Cade is a thing. I can't believe we didn't touch on Cade in the EU.
I know.
We're going to have to keep going back to the EU forever.
We will, yeah.
Cade is... I had thought he was Luke Skywalker's grandson, but he's actually I feel hundreds, if not thousands of years after
Yeah,
Luke.
he's far.
We did mention him in the EU episode.
I think we did.
Yeah,
he's far.
Because he's the one who's part Jedi, could go Sith, but is all a bounty hunter.
Right.
He's the ultimate.
Yeah. He's the combination of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Boba Fett.
With at least some adventures written by John Ostrander, so I will read it eventually.
Nice.
But anyhow.
So, yeah, R2's been kind of updated in the future. In the EU, which is
what's that mean, though? What's an operation upgrade?
I think he just...
Can he talk? Can he finally talk?
I don't think so.
No, he's still beeping and booping?
I think they were just... who knows?
Yeah.
Some sci-fi writer was just hey, we need to upgrade him so he can continue on.
And it's funny because it's like, well, what can't he do already? He's already a Swiss Army knife.
Right.
What's he missing?
Yeah, we've never even seen everything he can do because he's got all kinds of hatches on him and more stuff will just pop out.
That's the best thing about him is he can do whatever he needs to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyhow, let's just clear this up. Have we talked about this? I know we've kind of talked about it before, but rocket packs. You in? Do you like the rocket packs on him?
On him?
Yeah.
I just want to see it explained why he doesn't use them in the original trilogy.
I don't need it explained. I like the idea that he just chooses not to. And it's what do you mean? I've only got so much power cells. He's kind of old and kind of finicky.
Yeah, do they need to be charged?
Something. Because remember C-3PO in the first one,
charged down.
Yeah.
But they never really say R2 runs out of juice.
Yeah, but he must. And what's he powered by?
I don't know. Magic.
The Force?
Magic.
I was like everything else in Star Wars, the Force. Okay.
All right. Do we have anything else?
We haven't really touched on IG-88 in terms of our initial thing about Isaac Asimov saying that...
Oh, yeah. You know what? I did want to bring something up about IG-88.
Okay.
So, IG-88A... And some of this is going to be just kind of how they recycled props.
Right.
But IG-88, for a character that has grown in infamy, he does nothing in...
Nothing.
nothing in the original movies.
Right.
Nothing. He stands there. Does he even move?
I don't think so.
Does his
I think
head turn?
I whenever I see a picture of him drawn,
Yeah.
like in the comics and stuff, where he's like making some kind of action pose, I'm like, that doesn't look right.
Right.
Because it
But
looks
then
like he could move less than the battle droids.
Right, but then we do see him move in the Clone Wars.
Right. I
And
can't remember what episode
I don't
he shows
remember what
up. I
episode
don't
he
remember how
shows
that
up,
works.
but he shows up in the Clone Wars, and he moves, and it works.
Right.
Because, again, Dave Filoni figured it out. Like, he makes him work.
I need to look that up.
But the thing about IG-88, I don't know if I saw this or heard this on another podcast or I saw it on the internet, but if you go back to the cantina scene in A New Hope,
Oh, yeah.
behind the bar
Yep.
are, like, you know, where all the booze is being distilled or whatever.
There's like a coffee percolator thing.
There's two pipes type cylindrical objects, and they are actually IG-88's heads. Now, I know in reality all the crew just probably recycled parts.
Sure.
But, like, is there, like, can you go in the fictional world, can you go to a bar or a cantina and be like, yeah, give me a draft of IG-88?
Well, which is a kind of another cool thing, though. Like, all right, we can take it one of two ways. Either A, the EU backstory for IG-88, I can't remember it all, but he was part of some droids that rose up and killed everybody.
Yeah.
And he's one of the last surviving models. So if that's the case, it's kind of cool that you're using, like, it's like disrespectful. It's like we're using this head as a draft pourer,
Right,
because
right.
you know, like, fuck those droids.
Wasn't there in the EU like an IG-80
Yes.
800?
Yes.
Like,
Yes, there was.
okay.
There was some kind of super IG.
Or no, IG-88's ship is the IG-8000 or something.
Oh, was it?
I
Oh,
think
that's
so.
kind of cool. I like the idea that he can just like get into a ship and there's no walking around room. He just like plugs in.
Yeah, he just plugs in.
And it's like it's all circuitry.
Right.
God,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
IG-88's a
think
pretty
that
cool
was-
bounty hunter.
yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like every other bounty hunter.
And we've seen him run in action, so...
in the Clone Wars, yeah. And I think they made that work pretty good. But
They did
I would
make it
like
work
to
pretty
review it.
No, they made it work pretty good.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
But I'd still like to review it.
Other droids we want to bring up? We had...
I mean, I liked similar to the battle droids. I like the little mechanic droids where you punch them in the nose and they turn into things.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
fun
those-
little stupid things. And
I forgot what those were called.
dummy helper droids.
They had a name. I forgot what they were called.
I don't think there's any of the droids. We really talked about the ones I really wanted to hit.
Sure,
I don't think
we
there's
talked about the mouse droid. We talked about Gonk.
which and we've kind of talked about the social classes, and we've kind of worked that out for ourselves. I feel like how that works.
Sure.
So
Do we want to compare droids to other universes in science fiction?
Yeah, and I can of course kind of in this unveil my theory of there's that theory that all TV shows are one universe.
Yeah, right.
And they all it's all St. Elmo's Fire or St. What is it?
St. Elmo's Fire?
Not St. Elmo's Fire. What's that? St. Elsewhere.
St. Elsewhere.
They're all connected to St. Elsewhere.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's all the dream in that globe or whatever.
All right. So
A similar theory about some of these droid shows. It doesn't all work together.
it doesn't.
But maybe I can try and make it work. Let's
all
go.
right. Well, okay. Dune.
So Dune. So droids in Dune don't exist because one of the big tenets of Dune is that there are no thinking machines. Because thinking machines, a long, long time ago, they had made robots, they had made computers, all this good stuff, and like it happens in science fiction, they had revolted, and there was a massive war, and it was almost a genocide of humanity. Humanity also ultimately uprose, and the big rule after that was no more thinking machines. And so now they have people who are augmented generally by the spice. You have like the Navigators Guild, the ships where to fly in hyperspace, where you would need a computer to program things like in Star Wars to make sure you don't fly into a star, a supernova or something.
Yeah.
Then they now have people who have taken enough spice or live in spice tanks that's just genetically changed them so that they can run these computations in their head rather than having machines. As part of the, I can't pronounce it, it's Boltarian Jihad.
Okay.
That's what that war was about.
Interesting.
Now, and that goes right back to, well, you could take your pick. I mean, That sounds like Battlestar Galactica to me.
Right.
What if that was,
So
or Terminator.
Or Terminator.
Or both.
Which is interesting. Like,
Yeah.
there never seems to be a fear in Star Wars of a droid uprising.
No. And
Even though there's a whole army of droids.
Yeah.
There never seems to be like, oh my god, they're going to
What if they turn on us?
us?
Yeah, no, it's like, oh yeah, we just sent a droid army
Like,
out there.
Star Wars, they got that under control.
Yeah,
I mean honestly,
the only time that's a worry is in the Clone Wars. And it's not even a worry on a wide scale.
It's not even a worry. When is it a worry?
Yeah, the Mandalorians are taken totally off guard.
Yeah, right.
There's a few isolated incidents, I guess.
Yeah, it's never really a big worry. I mean, for God's sakes, it's something that people in reality worry about.
Yeah, right now.
Right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's to me, it's like there's bound to be a droid spinoff, right? In a world where we have Transformers 5 getting made,
yeah, there's bound.
There's got to be a Star Wars Droids spin-off movie coming.
Yeah, there has to be.
So,
so we covered kind of the droid uprising of Terminator, Battlestar Galactica.
Now we got Aliens, the duplicity of droids.
Yeah, so that was more of a cyborg, right?
No, Paul Reiser was.
Wait, no, it wasn't Paul Reiser. It was Ash.
Well, yeah, Ash was a droid or a robot,
android, cybernetic being.
Pure cybernetic wasn't there a cybernetic? Not Paul Reiser. It's the other guy.
It's the other guy. Ash.
Yeah.
I looked them up. His name's Ash.
Who's the character in the second one?
I don't know.
Okay.
They're all the same movie for me.
Well, there's Ash, who's the guy from Millennium. Lance Henriksen.
Yes, Lance.
That's Ash, right?
Yeah, that's Ash.
So who's the guy in the first one? He's the
I thought
science.
he was in the first one.
No.
They're both the same movie for me.
Wow. No, they're totally different
the
movies.
movie.
They're so different. The second one's an action movie. The first one's a horror movie. It's great.
They're both the same.
No, okay.
Right.
Anyhow.
Well, that was a dead end.
Yeah. Battlestar Galactica we covered. The Black Hole I've never seen.
All right, so
I know a little bit about it, but I've never seen it.
I wanted to group these together: the Black Hole, Buck Rogers, and
Buck Rogers I'm intimately familiar with.
I guess I wanted to group Buck Rogers and Black Hole together because
probably throw
these
Lost in Space in there, right?
Well, no, not
okay.
Because the Black Hole and Buck Rogers, the TV show, the '70s TV show, not the original serial,
sexy '70s TV show,
not the serial that actually inspires Star Wars,
right?
But the TV show, they both the Disney movie Black Hole and Buck Rogers. They both seem to have been born out of Star Wars, the success of Star Wars.
Oh, certainly,
right?
There's no question. Yeah,
right.
Gary Larson was huge.
You had the TV show Buck Rogers, where you had kind of Buck Rogers is now like the handsome Harrison Ford type of character.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh
and he's
yeah.
got the annoying droid.
Someone described that TV show to me once as one of the most sexually repressed shows on television.
Honestly, I was a child when I watched it. I even had action figures, but I don't remember much about it.
Really, you haven't gone back and watched it? It's great. It holds up in a different way.
I'm wondering why it hasn't been remade.
It's so good.
Maybe after episode 7. But you had Tweaky.
Oh yeah, the dick droid.
Yeah,
looks like a little dick.
He did look like a little silver dick.
Yeah,
he was 3 feet tall.
Beady.
Yeah, and he also wore another droid around his neck, like Flavor Flav. He had a big clock around his neck, and that was another droid.
And have you since you haven't
that
watched
was the smart one.
Since you haven't watched it recently, look out for all the sexual innuendos between him and other male characters.
Really, other male characters?
Big
you
time.
had the Hawk guy, right?
Big time. They go.
What was the woman's name in that show?
No memory.
The actress's name.
No memory.
Oh, she's a hottie. She's actually shows up at comic book conventions.
It's great though. There's so many moments where it's God, I can't remember all the tweaky lines, but you watch the first episode. The first I guess the first one's 90 minutes or something. All as a combined thing.
Aaron Gray.
Oh,
Aaron Gray. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. But yeah, that the whole show's just dripping with innuendos. It's great. It's really good.
I might have to go and rewatch that.
I recommend.
And then you had the Black Hole. Okay,
Yeah, this is your thing. I've never seen it. I'm familiar with the concept.
So the black hole, is like it's so psychedelic and weird, right?
Right.
But
Disney movie too.
It's a Disney movie, and
which
it's a dark.
Could cross over with Star Wars now, considering they're both elements.
Right. It's a dark Disney movie.
Yeah.
But there's 3. I'm not going to go into the details of Black Hole, although I could.
Sure.
But there's basically 3 basic droids in this movie.
Sure.
You had Maximilian, which is this big, evil, red droid.
Okay.
Right? That has kind of like propeller arms that can like literally like
chop you up.
Yeah, chop you up.
Nice.
And it does in one scene actually does chop someone up.
Wow.
Right. And then you had Vincent and Bob, B-O-B. Okay. Vincent, I believe, was voiced by Malcolm McDowell, I want to say.
Whoa. Well, I guess Malcolm McDowell in the 80s, it's like paycheck time.
Yeah, right. And Bob, who was kind of like the broken down version of Vincent.
Okay.
Let me make sure I'm getting my...
So he's like a busted ass evil droid.
No, these are both good. Both good droids.
Oh, Robert Forster was in this.
Robert Forster was in it. Yes, this is
great.
This is a very iconic movie.
I knew Ernest Borgnine was in it. Oh, Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins is the one who gets like drilled to death.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean they don't show it, but it makes it worse by not showing it. Oh, I'm sorry. Roddy McDowell was Vincent.
Okay, you know what? Let's just jump to a must-watch.
Right?
You can get it on Google Play or Vudu
Bob,
for $3.
Who is like the broken down version of Vincent.
Uh-huh.
And when I say Bob and Vincent, it's B period O
of
period
course.
B period, and Vincent is V period I period N period cent.
Bot
it all
originated.
It all stands for something.
Of course.
Right? But so Vincent was voiced by Roddy McDowell, and Bob was voiced by Slim Pickens.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow.
And it was like, hey, let's take Star Wars, but instead of having the annoying droid that beeps all the time and you can't really understand what he says, let's have Slim Pickens voice him.
Yeah, everyone loves Slim Pickens.
Everyone loves Slim Pickens. So you have this...
It's 1979.
You have this annoying droid who has a southern accent for some reason. Doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
And
so Gary Nelson directed this?
Yeah, this is a big...
Wow,
you need to watch this movie.
He's the guy who did Get Smart, Alan Quartermain, Freaky Friday. I'm just reading his resume here. I just watched the Alan Quartermain movie just literally 2 nights ago.
This was like Disney's foray into, let's make a Star Wars movie, but let's also cross it with the darkness of 2001.
Oh, yeah.
And neither one of those do we really know how to do well.
Yeah. I gotta watch this.
It's a
must
crazy, like, not only a crazy movie, it was probably responsible for a lot of nightmares as a kid. Not mine. I don't think I might not have made it all the way through, but it was one of those movies you take your kids to because it's like, oh, here's an era movie like Star Wars. It's so not. It's like cannibalism or like it's crazy ass stuff in there, like all kinds of crazy.
All I know is the Futurama made famous, the Robot Hell.
Robot Hell. Yeah.
That's all I know.
Right. Okay. So So Futurama. Is like if you're gonna go and talk about the top robots of all time in fiction, right? You have R2-D2, C-3PO.
Tom Servo,
yeah. And the other one that usually makes it into, if not the top 10, top 5, is Bender.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Bender.
Yeah, Bender's great.
Bender is a droid who I love because he's lovable, even though he basically wants to kill you and drink all the time.
Right.
And he's still lovable.
And they kind of go, like, Futurama's great because it's so for geeks. Like, they go really in depth on, like, how his programming works and why he's like this.
Right,
and,
he drinks so he doesn't rust.
Yeah.
That's great. He has to keep lubricated. All right, so one of the ones I didn't put on the list, but one of the ones I'm not really well versed in is droids in Star Trek.
Ah, okay. Droids in Star Trek. I mean,
Other than Data,
yeah.
which is a cyborg.
I feel like we just talked... Did we even talk about this in the last episode?
I don't know. I think we brought up Data before, but I don't know if we actually... Is he a cyborg?
Oh,
or
no,
is he
Data's...
just a robot made to look like a human?
Data's a straight-up robot, but he does have working genitalia. They cover that in the show.
That's awesome.
He could actually reproduce, theoretically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, that's a good storyline.
I don't...
Take a dive, man. Go in the TNG world. I'm not a massive TNG guy. I'm more of a TOS DS9 guy myself.
I think I did dive.
Oh,
into
I think
TNG.
we talked about this on G-Chat. That's where we started talking.
Okay.
Yeah, they have him. He is kind of one of a kind in the universe.
Yes.
Except for his twin. And then there is also the robotic kind of hologram doctors that show up in Voyager and later in the movies. Where it's like a program.
Is it working genitalia?
Yeah, it's working genitalia. It's covered. It's very hardcore covered.
I might have to look into this.
Yeah. Just Google Data plus genitalia in Google, and it'll pop right up.
No pun intended.
And then there's the cyborg characters, which is the Borg.
The Borgs.
Which
familiar with the Borgs.
Right.
I don't know what they do, but one looks like...
And they're very much a takeoff of Doctor Who's a Cyberman. Only cool. Really cool looking. The Cybermen are cool, but in a different way. In kind of more vintage way.
Yeah, so while you mentioned Doctor Who, the Daleks...
Yeah, the Daleks, they have a organic center. There's a being inside of them. All the Daleks are actually kind of you might say, a ship or a transportation device for the organic being inside a defensive, aggressive thing. Yeah.
Silent Running. This was a movie in the 70s starring Bruce Dern.
So I'm completely unfamiliar with. That'll change by the time we see this episode.
This was interesting because I believe that George Lucas was a little bit inspired by this movie.
Because 1971, right? It's like early.
Yeah, it's early.
Yeah. It's pre-Star Wars.
There's 3 droids in this movie, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and they look like air conditioners.
They look like gonk droids, yeah.
They don't look like any type of human. They don't have any type of humanistic characteristics.
Clunky shaped droids with feet.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have feet. Like they're just like. But this was like. This was the 70s. And,
it looks greait.
Yeah. So, and Lucas was a little bit inspired by that, I guess.
Nice.
Let's see. What else do we want to cover here?
We got through all that. So you were talking about George Lucas's inspirations as far as Silent Running
I've been
goes.
reading a little bit of the history of the making of Star Wars.
The secret history.
Yeah. And I knew this before, but like the R2-D2 and C-3PO, like in the original first draft of Star Wars, they weren't droids.
Yeah, Star Wars went through a lot of iterations, right?
They were bureaucrats. They were just these bumbling bureaucrats.
Which we kind of get with the Trade Federation, the prequels, right?
Well, this was more like George Lucas was heavily stealing from Kurosawa's movie The Hidden Fortress, which had 2 bumbling bureaucrats.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So, that's where he kind of got the idea. And I believe... Like, he was pulling from a lot of different sci-fi sources at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somewhere along the lines, he was looking at Metropolis.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Metropolis, he saw the droids in Metropolis, and that's where I would guess that he saw the droid in Metropolis, and that sparked the idea of making these 2 bumbling characters into droids instead of humans.
Sure. And you're inspired from everything from Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, that kind of comedic duo type thing.
Right.
The female android from Metropolis, and
the thing about them is like he had
originally intended C-3PO to.
Yeah, he intended C-3PO to be more of like a slimy character.
Yeah, which it just points right back to that art through adversity and collaboration and how that all made the story so much better.
Yeah.
Because, who couldn't picture him now as kind of a prissy
type of robot.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't imagine C-3PO being anything other than...
Yeah, he was supposed to be like... It's funny, because like once again, that kind of rings a bell for me, where it's like... just like on Return of the Jedi, the speeder chase, it looked cool for the time, but now you look at it and it just doesn't... It's clear the background's moving, the speeder's not.
Right.
They're like, that must have always stuck in his craw, so right away he makes the pod race the big thing in the next movie.
Sure.
So I feel like the same thing here is like, well, I've always wanted an oily car salesman type character, and here we get Watto.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, right.
That's what I love about the Phantom Menace. It's so
Yeah.
just a pure, like, him doing things he always wanted to do.
Well, I think it'll be interesting moving forward without Lucas on the new films, because from what I'm reading now, reading this history, is like a lot of his ideas, they never went away.
They're keeping the heart of them, but kind of...
Like, but even for the original 6 movies.
Right.
He would have all these ideas. He didn't really know how to form them into a cohesive whole.
Right.
But he kept them written down, and he would take pieces of them later and be like, oh, well, you know, I have this character named Valorum that he had, like, in the first draft of Star Wars.
Mace Windu.
And that character doesn't show up, like, he then has a character named Valorum in The Phantom Menace, you know. 20 years later, he's still using the same ideas that he was writing down when he was, you know,
a character played by the great Terrence Stamp.
Right, yeah. Like, he's just... It's interesting. We need to do a show about, like, Lucas's, you know, creative process, I guess.
I would love to talk about that, because I feel like he gets so short-shifted, whereas other people like Alejandro Jodorowsky and David Lynch and many other people get so heralded for the fact that they come up with these wild ideas, and then other people kind of help glue those ideas together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for some reason with George Lucas, everyone nowadays, the common popular thing to do is focus on, like, well, it was other people, it was collaboration, it was the art through adversity that made it happen. Whereas I feel like even with... I know that both Alejandro and David Lynch are, like, very strong filmmakers, but, like, you have to understand that other people are doing these things too.
Right.
You know, and they're just what they're bringing to the table is creativity.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, it'll be an interesting thing. Yeah, we definitely need to do an episode of that later on. Any last droid thoughts?
I do have one last one. I know we're trying to wrap it up,
Awesome.
but one last thing is, I just love the idea. Like, I'm so fascinated by the transformation of Anakin from man into machine and back to man. Mm-hmm. And, like, I love the idea that throughout his comeuppance in the prequel trilogy, you see Darth Vader-esque elements, including the Clone Wars, that he incorporates into his Darth Vader alternate persona.
Okay.
I would love to do a Darth Vader episode sometime. I know it's like feels played to death, but I feel like we could really talk about it for a long time.
Sure.
Because you see him like to me, like you look at the gravity respirator suit that the ska fans are wearing in the Techno Union.
The Techno Union.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like, well, that's clearly a technology used in Darth Vader's own thing.
Sure.
And like, then you look at some of the villains he encounters, like like General Grievous.
Yep.
Or that spider villain that shows up in the Clone Wars, and the way they talk and the way they act. And he's like, that was scary when I was a kid. And it's like, if I'm going to intimidate people into fucking respecting me, I'm going to kind of take on that cadence.
Right.
And like, I just think that's such a cool thing. And I think you can really see that with these kind of cyborg characters. He got some of that influence.
Yeah, I think that there's... Well, like you said, George Lucas originated a lot of this stuff, and I think he originated it not knowing what he was really coming up with.
Like, even if he was just making a Techno Union guy that's kind of Darth Vader-ish because he was being unoriginal and rehashing his own ideas, it's still, in the storyline, plays out that, like, Anakin is seeing that for the first time, you know?
Right. Well, that's where you have people like Dave Filoni and the writers on the Clone Wars are just taking these nuggets of ideas that George Lucas had and expanding upon them and being like, well, this is where this idea came from.
They're the ultimate no prize winners, I guess.
They're the R2-D2s. All right, folks. We wanted to definitely throw out how you can contact us before we go tonight. So please like us on Facebook at facebook.com/swdog, as well as email us at
swdog77@gmail.com.
And then please leave us a review on iTunes. We can... if we get more reviews, we will go up in the rankings, and you'll be
crush our competitors.
That's the goal, is to crush all of our competitors. And no, we just want to be
the best.
Found. We want to be the best. We want to be found on Facebook, so we can keep providing you with our great quality rambling content that we always try to do at. Where are we at?
Delusions of Granular. That's Granular, GRANULAR.com.
Awesome. So that's it for today. Any last words?
I think I just stunned you because I spelled out Granular.
Spell, yeah.
I know. Yeah.
You got it right too. All right, folks. Until next week. May the Force be with you.
And we're back again.
We're back, yeah. So this ALS challenge is a pretty big deal right now.
Yeah, I feel like everyone I know has done it.
Yeah.
I guess it's doing good.
I guess so,
whatever.
Yeah. It's doing a good thing for a good cause.
I found myself being kind of a Scrooge and being like, so played out. And I was like, everyone's having fun. Why be a Scrooge? Have a good time.
But did you see Mark Hamill do it?
I haven't yet.
All right, well, let's watch Mark Hamill accept the Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS.
Okay. Okay,
so
he's wearing a Kinks t-shirt.
This is the first time we're actually hearing Mark Hamill actually talk.
Speak with beard.
Speak with beard, yeah.
Sounds good.
And for some reason he's challenging the Davies brothers from the Kinks.
Yeah, he's talking about the Kinks.
Also has a Kinks t-shirt on.
Now, when you first told me about this, I'm going to kind of quote you out of turn here. You said that he's clearly insane.
He is kind of insane. He looks insane.
And now, once again, I got to come back and say, have you watched Comic Book the Movie yet? His directorial effort.
I have not.
I mean, you really got to go back to that.
Okay, so his challenge, he's not going to pour ice on his head. He's got a little dropper. And he's dropping drops of water on his head. Ooh, they're cold.
It's kind of like a funny joke, also kind of offensive to the ALS Foundation. And now women.
3 women pour water on his head.
Who are the women?
Well, okay,
One looked like it could be a Lucas daughter.
Well, wait.
Throwing that out there.
Let's just pause this for a second.
Freeze frame, go by
couple
frame
things
by
here.
frame.
No.
Enhance
couple
them.
things here. Okay. He's clearly back in California.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's talking about California. He says that's why he doesn't want to use full bucket because he wants to respect California's water drought. And he uses 3.
They're not... Is he done filming?
Oh, is he done? Oh. No, well, I think that we just saw a picture of JJ and crew hanging out with former Ant-Man director Edgar Wright in California, too.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're at least on hiatus anyhow. Everybody's hanging out.
2, with the wet hair?
Short leave.
Like we paused it. He's got... water poured on him. He's got the beard. He's all wet.
Glistening.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what he reminds me of?
Yoda?
No.
Oh.
He reminds me of the dude when he gets
he does have a dude look. Yeah, totally, yeah. I could see that. I'm shocked that Jeff Bridges didn't get wrapped up in all this, actually, yet. I bet he will before it all said and done.
I would hope.
He'll be in the
Jeff
universe.
Bridges is awesome. He needs to stop doing like the young adult, The Giver. Who cares?
I don't know anything about The Giver. I know
read the book. It's not good.
Well, he
I mean,
was
the
also
book
in
is fine.
He was
but
also
the
in
movie, they made it into like the next Hunger Games.
BPRD,
Silly.
which happened to the Sound of Crickets.
What?
Him and Ryan Reynolds were in a comic book action
Oh
movie
yeah,
this
right,
summer.
right. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
R.I.P.D.
Oh yeah.
What did you say?
BPRD. That's BPRD is a Hellboy spinoff thing.
Oh right, he didn't do that.
No.
Which would have been cool if he did.
Much better.
All right, so do we want to watch the latest?
Let's
from
continue
Rebels?
the saga of
Do our
me
commentary?
reacting to his promo stuff.
All right. This is the third short that we've received in the month of August for Rebels.
First one was we see Ezra running around, right?
Yeah, the first one was 7 minutes, I believe. That was Ezra kind of.
That's the one we did commentary for, right?
We did that one, yeah.
Yeah.
We skipped the one with the female Mandalorian armor graffitian, which
I haven't watched yet.
I
went to a dark place after that 7 minutes. You can kind of hear it in the audio.
All right. This one is called Entanglement. This focuses on Zeb, the hairless Wookiee character, who's the muscle for.
Which I'm actually
Rebels.
on board with. I'm on board with Muscle Zeb.
All right. Well, let's give it a watch.
Star Wars Rebels.
I like the I like the location.
Oh yeah, very nice.
It's very Star Warsy. It's
Kind of a dirty Coruscant looking place.
Yeah. Zeb has a some type of accent, British, Australian.
Kind of a Cockney type thing.
Yeah, Cockney's probably it. So the stormtroopers are harassing an Ugnaught, looks like.
Yeah, instead of an Ugnaught.
Yeah. Also a R2 unit with a clear head.
Which works for me.
Yeah,
I
I
buy
like
into
that.
that.
Yep.
It goes through the filter. The Star Wars filter. It comes out the other side as Star Wars.
All right. So
Zeb has just conked him in the noggin, knocked him out.
some physical comedy here. Meanwhile, Kanan is talking to him on his
walkie-talkie
thing.
Yeah. The weird little comm units they use.
Yeah,
Star
comm
Wars. Yeah. So Zeb, his character model, very Ralph McQuarrie, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
But he's got these kind of big 3-fingered hands and feet, right? Or are they 4-fingered? Looks 4, maybe.
Maybe 4.
But they're kind of like bigger at the end, like they've got like suckers at the end of them.
Oh, I didn't notice that, but we do see him climb up on top of a TIE fighter.
Very dexterous, very agile, jumping around, climbing, wall crawler, Spider-Man action.
It looks like 4 fingers.
And he busts out a thing that kind of looks like those Dooku droids we talked about that have the laser staff.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's more of a janky thing that he's kind of wired together from 3 separate weapons.
No, I didn't notice that. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you see how it's like kind of tied?
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a nice touch.
So the problem I have with this is...
Because they're rebels, you know.
There is some stormtrooper violence, but it doesn't seem to be permanent. There's no death in this.
It's not fatal.
Yeah, fatal.
Yeah.
Fatal, yes.
But I don't think this is the time for death, to be honest. I don't think this is the time. I don't want to meet this character and see him butcher 9 people. Because he's a good guy. The good guys don't kill unless they have to, right?
Well, they're rebels.
Yeah, okay. You're like the Che Guevara kill? Gets really intense. Yeah, I will say this.
Hey, look at that. There's more stormtroopers almost point blank not being able to hit anything.
Oh, that fits with the canon. This is that was a good use of the shot there where the camera followed him under the TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Earlier he threw a stormtrooper and the camera went from the perspective of him fighting the stormtrooper and then followed the stormtrooper as he got thrown.
Nice.
And I think that's fantastic animation. I think it's a testament to why they changed styles.
We got nice Ugnaught reaction of the explosion and Zeb walking out of it alive.
Now, Zeb in the character model I think looks nice. Ugnaught I think looks bad.
The Ugnaught looks a little
Droids
generic.
look good. Stormtroopers are good, though I do appreciate the gumminess that you talked about last episode.
Yeah, I'm not big on the Stormtroopers.
So they carried the whole time there. They were carrying a joke through that was, what does that sound? It sounds like you're hitting stormtroopers.
Kanan's talking.
That sounds
to him
like a
the
TIE
entire
fighter blowing up.
Yeah.
Maybe dead.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still on board with this. I think it's all going to work as a whole. I don't know. I'm fine with all of this. I'm not down on it.
Right.
I mean, are the character models what I want? No, but you know what? I think I'm getting more used to it.
Yeah.
Because I did see, like, kind of a group shot the other day on the
Oddly,
internet.
I feel like it works best as a group shot.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, these characters kind of work. And
When I look at any of them too long on their own, I get kind of like,
I think they're going to give us something unexpected.
Agreed.
Like, I think that they're not showing all of their cards yet. Mm-hmm. Like, even though they're giving us these clips, I think there's still something that is going to be surprising about this show.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be the way that the characters interact with one another, that it's not going to just be a retread of how the characters acted with one another in the original trilogy.
That's actually a really interesting insight, though, because I was just thinking, like, Dave Filoni originally does the Clone Wars, where all the things are established, all the people are established, and he has to kind of just make that work emotionally.
Right.
Now he's given a chance to make his own characters, and he keeps saying it's going to be more like the original trilogy, and we keep assuming it's because it has stormtroopers and all the things that we know from the original trilogy.
Right.
But it also, what he might be hearkening more towards is that camaraderie and that genuine feeling of friendship and stuff that you see in the original trilogy.
I think I originally thought that there was going to be some animosity between some of the characters.
Yeah.
Whether it's, Kanan with Ezra or Ezra and Zeb or whatever. But I think I want to say it that I think that Filoni's not going to go there, and there's going to kind of be more of a camaraderie amongst all of the characters, and that the animosity, whatever there is going to be downplayed.
Sure. It'll be kind of service level animosity, like two guys going for the same girl, that kind of jokey stuff.
I don't think it'll be anything really large. There's not going to be great rifts between the characters, the rebel characters.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to, some lighthearted fun. I think that it's going to do what the Clone Wars did, which is broaden the world.
Oh, yeah.
Do some world building.
There's people that give us a 3-inch general or whatever.
Yeah, right. There's going to be world building. I think that what they're saying is going to carry over into Episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I think I had this thought reacting to your doubts.
Yeah.
And I think one of the doubts that I see with this, just with watching these clips, is we've only really been on one planet.
Well, that's the whole thing with the series, right?
I don't know. They have a ship.
That's one of their things, though, is this is supposed to be kind of one planet base, right? Like, it's kind of based around this one area.
No, maybe.
Is that not true?
Maybe.
Did I make that up?
That might actually, that seems to be familiar. That might be my one issue with it.
It's kind of weird.
It's interesting. It would be, I think it might feel more Star Wars if we saw them on different planets.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
saw them more in space. I know we've seen some dogfights in space, but, if they're just kind of situated on this one planet the entire time, that might get a little tiresome.
Then again, a planet's a big place, and that's something that they've never done in Star Wars, is show us a planet that felt big.
Sure. Sure.
But I'll say this, my doubts, I was feeling the doubts pretty heavily. And I watched this, and I was like, I went back and forth, because I was like, I like Zeb, but I also feel like Zeb is kind of like, I love the character model, but I also feel like he's kind of a reaction to Chewbacca. Like, Chewbacca's smart and non-vocal. So let's give someone who has a Cockney accent, and he's more brawn than brain.
And they definitely did say he's smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has intelligence to him. He's not just a dumb, thug.
Oh, Zeb. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt like he was kind of meant like he was almost so purposely designed to contrast with Chewbacca that it seemed a little forced. But then I scrolled down and looked at all the hateful comments on this clip. It seems like everyone is out to get this show and hates on it. And I immediately was like switched back to rooting for the underdog, and I was like, they're going to make this work.
Well, I get it.
But there's a lot of hate, man. I mean, I can't believe it.
I think other than doing a show about that in particular, I think just in general what this podcast is about is battling the hate.
Straight up.
Trying to bring the fans
balance
back together.
To the fans.
Yeah. Because, I think both of us could go on and on and on about how, there's so much hatred for this
To me,
franchise amongst the fans who actually consider themselves Star Wars fans.
Yeah,
they still hate on everything.
To me, there's nothing as egregious. Like, George Lucas has done nothing as egregious to the fans with the prequels as the fans have done with phrases like, George Lucas raped my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Get over it.
Yeah.
How about you
Hey,
forgot...
put the pacifier back in your mouth
Yeah.
and, like, sit down and watch the movie and have a good time.
Yeah, how about
Jesus.
you forgot what it's like to be a child?
Yeah.
You know, like it's just...
It's like, I'm sorry, time keeps passing, you know? And, like, technology changes. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, what do you want... like, it's just this... It's a sad state of affairs.
Star Wars is not the same as it was in 1977. And guess what? Neither are we.
Yeah. And guess what? There's nothing that wouldn't change Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, because as you age, as time passes, historical, like, context and everything changes, and you look back at it differently.
Yeah.
Like,
so we should just be happy, which is, I think you and I are, that Star Wars is still around. How many years since the original movie?
Long
it's still
time.
around.
Long time.
It's still around. And we're still talking about it. And we're not the only podcast talking about it. There's numerous podcasts out there talking about it. There's everyone talking on message boards and comments on articles on the internet. People are still talking about this thing. It still lives, and yet people want to hate on it.
To get nostalgic, though, I was just thinking this a few minutes ago when we were talking that, like, I'm going to kind of miss the days when there wasn't new Star Wars content, and all we had to look forward to was, like, podcasts analyzing, like, the movies that have already come out. Because, like, now it's going to be all new stuff.
Right.
We're not going to get this granular level analysis on every single episode of Rebels.
Sure you will. You're going to listen to
Delusions of Granular.com.
All right, folks.
Send us an email at swdog77@gmail.com. Like us at Facebook at facebook.com/swdog. And don't forget to give us a rating on iTunes. I've been JP.
This is Ron. And
Have a
we'll
great week.
Talk to you later.